Welcome to Nerdmageddon. Hey everybody, it's time for big fun Nerdmageddon. We're back. We are here at KZLX LP Maryville. Gotta get that legal ID or else the FCC gets mad at us. I am one of your hosts, Corey Herzog, Miss Kitten. With me, I have Johnny.
Hello, hi, how are you? Are you ready for some big fun? And it's going to feel like a trip down to the candy store.
You guys are stepping into my candy store, yeah.
Like we're 17, and I don't know any other song titles.
It sounds like you need a lifeboat.
There you go. Yeah, that's one.
You're getting into the spirit of things. I'm so excited. We also have Will Linder.
Yo, yo, yo. That's me.
That is you.
That's my name.
Any puns or references you want to try and make?
I also want to go to the candy store.
Very natural delivery there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're not even at the 5-minute mark, and we're already a train wreck. And we also have Devin.
Is the size of the fun determined by surface area square footage, or is it like a literal large mass of fun?
It's in liters.
Oh,
so volume.
Yes.
okay.
So you have like an actually like large amount of fun that you're gonna drop on us.
So is this liquid fun then?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. How pounds per square inch on that? Like, how heavy is this fun?
I don't know. We'll just have to experiment with it later.
All
I'm
right.
going to guess like 7. Yeah, 7 liters of fun.
At least 7.
All right.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll
guys.
take it.
So if you haven't been able to tell, this week's episode we're going to be talking about Heathers, the musical episode from Riverdale. Before we do that, we have some nerd news now. So we have a guy who's coming back to the MCU. It's a little known guy named James Gunn. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's directed this little show called Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yes. I think I've heard of that movie before.
Yeah, I think I have
Indeed.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about it a while ago, maybe last semester. It's hard to tell when all the stuff is happening, like with the firing and the rehiring. But I think it was 6 months or so ago. And yeah, I didn't really see this coming. I wasn't really shocked that he got the job as the Suicide Squad 2 director, but I am kind of shocked that they rehired him. This is just my opinion, so I want to preface.
All views and opinions expressed on the show reflect only ourselves, not KZLX or anyone else.
Yes. And so, while I don't think that they should have fired him in the first place, I am surprised that they went back on it and rehired him. But I'm also kind of surprised that, despite that, he took the job back. I mean, yes, it is money, but I don't know. I don't know if maybe I read the whole situation wrong, but maybe he wasn't as bitter as I would have expected him to be, but he was happy to have the job back. So, what do you guys think?
I mean, he directed the first 2, and he definitely poured his heart and soul into them. So I don't think it's surprising that, I wouldn't have been surprised to see him do like Guardians 4. So this seems soon, but I don't feel like I'm surprised he took it back. I feel like they were like, hey, do you want to do this? And he's like, well, that's how it should have been the whole time. So yeah, I was surprised to find out actually that his Suicide Squad is supposed to be a reboot.
Yeah.
He's not making a direct sequel. He's doing his own thing with this one. So yeah, but I never thought that that whole thing went down exactly right. And clearly they've decided that nobody else can do it better. So at least for the sake of the movie, I'm glad it's happened.
For sure.
Yeah. Will, do you have anything you want to say?
I thought this was going to be like the last Guardians film, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think it's going to be the last one of this team, but I think they're going to keep making them, and kind of like the Avengers, they're going to shuffle some out and bring some new ones in.
Hear me now, Marvel. Put Agent Venom on the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Actually, he posted a statement online. Can we read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So he says, I am tremendously grateful to every person out there who has supported me over the past few months. I am always learning and will continue to work at being the best human being that I can. I guess he put that on his Twitter a couple days ago, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So looks like he's doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Exciting.
Good for him. It's good that, like, when you hear about stuff like this, that, you know, the things you do in the past can be forgiven, and that, you know, as long as you make an effort to not keep doing things, or like you've clearly made a difference in the time since those like mistakes have been made, that you haven't been doing them repeatedly, that you do deserve a second chance. I think that cases like this, cases like again, just my opinion, cases like Kevin Hart, I think like these are.
I actually was working when Kevin Hart was on NPR post that whole thing, and I do not like Kevin Hart at all, and you can quote me on that. But as doing his interview as a guy, he was like, I just, you know, I threw a joke out there and it was insensitive, and I was just throwing stuff against the wall, and it struck a nerve, and I'm only human, and I've got to learn, and I'm not going to make a joke like that again, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's all anybody can really ask, is that you learn and that you move forward.
Yeah, and like it's kind of tough to be somebody that, you know, if this world, if we want to see, if there's a certain vision of who we want people to be in this world, why would we shun those who make a mistake and aren't exactly the perfection of that, instead of giving them another chance?
You know, John Oliver came out with an episode of Last Week Tonight all about like public shaming and stuff.
I saw that. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, and so then there's like another really good TED Talk of a guy who like wrote books about people who like are, you know, publicly shame others, especially like celebrities in our culture. I thought it was a really good episode because it kind of addresses this situation and then this whole kind of like movement where like we put a lot of like stress on one individual, regardless if they deserve that or not. It affects them greatly.
Yeah.
Not just their careers, but like their personal interpersonality and stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it is really detrimental. But, you know, I'm thinking that, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy is going to have a lot of love, some death, maybe some robots, kind of like Netflix.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I guess.
I had to come up with a segue some way, guys.
Yeah, let's talk about this show, because I really wanted you guys to see this.
I
so.
did. I watched
Okay.
it. Did you guys watch it?
I was going to in class, but
So
then
no.
I realized there were people behind me.
Yeah.
I'm honest. I have yet to watch it,
I'm
so
honest.
I will be honest. I have to watch it.
All right.
still,
Well,
so.
Johnny, what have you seen? Have you seen
Just the first episode.
just the first episode?
Yeah, but I saved it on my queue, so it's gonna be I'm gonna be watching more soon. But yeah, I really liked it. I thought it reminded me a lot of Alita: Battle Angel. The first one did. The first episode that I saw, and the only episode that I saw. I don't know if you saw Alita, but
I did not.
It was very, very similar in that like there's it's like post-apocalyptic or like a different version of the future or something like that, but everything looks worse than. It's not like, you know, despite it being all about robots, it's very like gritty and grungy and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really like that that aesthetic when it's you mix high tech with low tech, if that makes sense. Like, you know, like it's they're using simple. I don't know. The whole
It almost had like almost a steampunk edge to
Yeah.
it too, because the other character was like the big fancy gentleman.
Yes,
and
yes.
and that it was like he was betting on the fights, almost like it was like old boxing or something, you know.
For sure. Yeah, and I really loved this. Like, despite that old guy, he kind of fit this role that you see a million times in cartoons, but there was something about his portrayal or something, maybe his art style or something, that just made him stand out so much. And I really appreciated that, because if for me, a guy that does nothing but watches TV, if I can see a character that typically fills a role a way that you would expect them to, but does something, one or more things that would branch them out, and this is about all the characters, to being completely unique and memorable, this show is doing a very good job of that. And it's just it is very graphic in a lot of senses. Because you said it's Netflix's first original MA
Not
show.
safe for work show.
Yeah.
Yes. They're making a big deal out of that. I'm seeing a lot of articles like what this means for, not safe for work TV and media in the future, and what this might mean with legislation and things like that. But yeah, you saw the first episode does a good job of introducing you. You saw some partial nudity, some pretty intense partial nudity, and then you saw some pretty crazy gore.
Yes.
It just goes up from there, dude.
Really?
Like, there are sexier episodes and there are gorier episodes, and there are both.
Okay.
So they do not shy away from, I don't know, telling it like it is, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's interesting that Netflix totally gave them free reign like that. They were just like, tell the stories you want to tell.
Yeah.
I can feel people getting offended as I watch it.
I
feel like Game of Thrones has paved our way a little bit.
I have to say that one thing that I'm really loving, and this isn't so much about the specific show, but it is an example of just everything that Netflix is and embodies. They are becoming... I think they're creeping up. They're becoming something that I think a lot of people are underestimating them for. It's not just the show, but it's that Bandersnatch that they came out with a few months ago, and many other things that they're doing. Netflix, and this might be a bold thing to say, but I'm starting to think Netflix is becoming the new Disney. And it is not. I'm not saying that Disney is ever going to be overshadowed, but in a lot of senses, Netflix is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and all they need is a happy mouse character or something, a mascot, and they're on their way to becoming just as colossal as Disney is now. Of course, it'll take a long, long time until then, but I mean, it certainly seems that way. They're a powerhouse. Netflix is a powerhouse, and I don't know. It's just good on them, really.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend, though, if this is something that interests you. It's just like an anthology series, sort of like Black Mirror, but it's a little more artsy, I guess you'd say. Everything's in a different animation style. There's one episode that's live action, and it really threw me. But there's stuff that looks sort of like a cutscene in a video game, and stuff that looks like really good, almost like real life, and then there's anime type stuff and whatever. So it's kind of got something for everybody. I would recommend you watch the first 2 episodes. The first one really gives you a picture of how intense and sort of sci-fi these stories are going to be, and then the second one is much lighter and it's super duper funny. That second one is actually one of my favorite episodes, and that's the way the show is. It's sort of ups and downs. It's very giggly, tee-hee, silly what if, and it's also very like dark and gritty and crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy, we've been kind of following some gaming news with Epic Games. So Devin, you want to kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Epic launched their store a while back, and they were making some pretty bold claims about how they were going to compete with Steam and how they were going to be a little bit more user-friendly. And their big thing was they were taking far less of a cut than Steam on profits for games, so they were trying to help out the little guy, make it easy for indie devs. They were talking about how they were going to let anybody be on their platform, no matter whether people thought it was tasteful or cool. Steam has had some issues with games that people don't like and whether or not they're going to carry them and things like that. But we talked a little while back about Metro. About 3 weeks before the game came out, Metro stopped taking Steam pre-orders, stopped doing Steam advertising, pulled the rug out from everybody and said, we're going to go exclusive with Epic. And people were upset, and there was a whole back and forth there. Well, then Phoenix Point, it's a Kickstarter game, and it turns out, even though they said in their Kickstarter and everything they were going to be on Steam, they got snatched up by Epic as well. I think it looks like that specific one, yeah, they got snatched up by Epic. They're exclusive through Epic now. Well, okay, so now people are upset again. This game's not even out yet. They've already paid for it, and it's not going to be on their platform. Then 4 days ago, Epic's accused of stealing Steam user data without user permission. So they're scraping people's Valve accounts for information. And then after that, Obsidian's announced that their game Outer Worlds, which is supposed to be the sort of their follow-up to Fallout New Vegas, which is in a world that we got Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, people are really clamoring for Obsidian to do something because they're really disappointed with the direction it's taken. Outer Worlds, Epic Store exclusive. It looks like that's a publisher decision, and a lot of these are. They're just publisher decision, and the devs can't do a whole lot about it. But it is upsetting to put money behind something or to be advertised something and then told, well, you need to use a clearly inferior platform that, you know, steals data and has issues to play the games that you want to play. And then just today, Epic CEO started taking shots at Steam and he says they're going to have better moderation for their games. They say they're not going to accept crappy games.
Wow.
So now, you know, Epic we've long wanted a competitor for Steam to keep them honest and keep them innovating because they do have a lot of problems. But Epic is going right for the throat, and it's really off-putting to some people, I guess.
Yeah.
I could never see like the same creators of like Fortnite trying to make like a bunch of like indie games that you see on Steam. Maybe that's just me, and I mean, I play with like a lot of PC games and stuff, so maybe I'm like stepping on a line, but I don't know about like Epic being like the biggest, like maybe like right now the biggest in their face, but besides that, I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah. I'm not a big gamer, so just kind of an outsider's perspective. This could either go really, really well for them or really, really badly. Like, just, you know, from my point of view, like, I think, like, it's just a bold marketing move. Like, it's nothing more than marketing.
They could give them a run for their money, though, as far as, like, the development, because, like, they've made... I don't know many, like, Epic games.
Well,
but, like,
we're not talking development here, though. This is just their commerce platform. They're just selling games.
Oh, okay.
So these are exclusivity. These are people where their publishers are now saying, you cannot buy this on Steam. We only sell through Epic. As if, like, someone said, you know, you can only buy this at Target.
Well, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that would be a better idea if Epic's platform were not vastly inferior to Steam's, but it is, and they're making mistakes, and people are still announcing their exclusivity deals, and it makes me worried that stuff like Outer Worlds is gonna underperform.
Yeah. I have no segue into our next story, guys, except Danny DeVito.
Yes.
Detective Pikachu, we got this little juicy bit of news that Detective Pikachu was originally planning to be played by Danny DeVito.
Well, he was considered.
Yeah, he was considered.
He was
yeah.
considered.
Yeah, but Danny DeVito.
I'm upset.
So I told you guys my theory as to why I believe that didn't happen. Do you think that would be okay to share, or is that
Yeah,
kind of
Yeah, it's fine. It's a
Okay.
fan theory.
Okay, so a fan theory.
Speculation about the end of the movie,
Yeah.
but based on nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just my like Devin said, just my speculation about what's going to happen at the end of Detective Pikachu, and that Detective Pikachu is he had memory loss or something like that, and he was transformed into a Pikachu, and that's why he can talk and he can communicate with this boy, because it's going to turn out that Detective Pikachu is actually the father of this boy. And I think that the reason that they considered Danny DeVito but ended up not using him is because Danny DeVito just wouldn't fit that role. Let's just say that.
Agreed.
I think as far as Detective Pikachu's voice, I do think he could do a pretty good job. But as far as playing, playing. I mean, he already has a tough enough time on It's Always Sunny. I don't know if like putting him in, a quote unquote action movie is something that would be good for him. Because you know that if Ryan Reynolds shows up in Ryan Reynolds form at the end of the movie, then he's going to probably be doing some running around and jumping and all that. And Danny DeVito is not the most spry.
I think that would have made it even better.
Oh, I just don't think
he would
Danny
disagree.
DeVito's at that point. Yeah, no, I remember when they like to do all those crazy things for Sonny, like Matt got fat, and everybody was supposed to get fat, but everybody was like no, and so he just did it. But the producers, I read one time, wanted to make Danny DeVito super buff and just incredibly jacked for a season, and he was like, I'm like 72. I don't want to die. Like, I'm not going to lift weights. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, I don't imagine that Danny DeVito would have agreed to anything super strenuous.
He's had some bad luck recently on that show, because I know that a few seasons ago there was a time when he was supposed to be thrown into water, and he had an interview about how he he like there was some accident and he like started losing air, like, and so then he got up and they were like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yep, I'm okay, but I'm going home." And so he just stopped for the rest of the day, and they're like, "You guys film your stuff. I'm going home, and I'll be back tomorrow, but I'm going home."
Yeah.
And so like, and I'm like, that is, Danny DeVito, you're 70, whatever. You're allowed to just go home if you want to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But apparently his spirit is still inside this character.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. Apparently he has informed the writing in some way.
It's never been in this character. Outside of the internet. It's never been his. He's never done it. He has no connection.
I
no
think
real connection.
That's just what I read. Is
Yeah.
that he's influenced? Yeah.
Okay.
The idea is still there a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's time to move on to our newest segment that we started doing this semester is our board game review, except this one isn't a board game.
Yeah.
Johnny, take it away.
So this one is not a video game. It's not a board game, but it's just kind of I don't know what you'd want to call it. Just kind of like an internet game, I guess. And
It's a party game.
It's it's a party game. It's called Spyfall, and it is it's a game where we had maybe 7 or 8 people together. Basically, one of the people is a spy, and they have the others are in a location, and they all have their own roles that would be suited for that location. And the spy has no idea where he or she is, and so everybody asks questions to one another, and they want to be subtle enough to not give away the location to the spy, but obvious enough that they can pick out themselves who the spy actually is. So it's difficult because you kind of have to toe that line between, you don't want to give the game to the spy, but you also don't want to
Be accused.
You don't want to be accused. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Devin and I, like, one of our first times that we ever hung out we played this game. And like that's why I brought it to you guys. And it has just been such a fun game. It brought a lot of inside jokes like, can I ask a follow-up question? Why?
Why? Yeah.
And yeah, I love that game so much. I always try and get my friends to play it.
Yeah, no, I like this game a lot. I started playing it with my friends, probably like my freshman year of college. And yeah, no, it's really, really simple, but it's entertaining for endless amounts of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now we played this game with like a lot of people, like 7 or 8. I think I would want to try it with like maybe 3 or 4, just to see like how that would go. Maybe it'd be like more fun or like easier or something like that. But I really like the structure of the game and kind of how like there's no like way that you can get like super good at it. You just have to be like asking questions and stuff. So I liked it.
I think the largest group I've ever played the game with has been 10 people.
Wow.
Yeah, we
That's
had
crazy.
an apartment full of like girls, and we were just playing the game.
I think 5 or 6 people might be like the optimum amount of
I would
people.
say about 6 is probably the cap.
Because if you have too many, it's like you said, not a lot of people can get questions out fast enough.
Yeah.
And then if you have too few,
It's really
it becomes too easy to tell who the
Yep.
spy is.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
So-
So let's jump right on into ratings.
Yeah. Okay. I would give it 3 out of 5 confused spies.
I don't know how Corbin's gonna put a picture up of that.
Confused. I'll say 3 out of 5 accountants. Yeah, good luck finding a picture for that.
4.5 out of 5 submarines.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 janitors.
Okay.
All right, guys, we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking all about Riverdale, Heather's the Musical, musicals in general. I'm super excited, but we'll be right back. And as always,
You nerd it here first.